of a $20 billion fund to compensate victims of the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. He is currently setting up an independent claims facility to process business and individual claims against BP. Mr. Feinberg's experience includes managing the September 11th Victims Fund, the Virginia Tech Victim Funds, and serving as Chief of Staff to the late Senator Ted Kennedy. Thank you, Mr. Feinberg, and welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. You're absolutely right. This is the first opportunity I've had to meet here in Congress, either House or the Senate, to discuss the plans for the design, implementation, and administration of this Gulf Coast claims facility. It's very, very difficult to say no to the chairwoman who was so helpful to me during the administration of the 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund, which impacted her district tremendously. And this is one opportunity for me to thank the chairwoman publicly for all she did in helping me with the administration of that program. I am accompanied today by the Deputy Administrator of the Fund, Camille Byros, who is also here if there are particular questions where I need to consult with her. But let me say that if I do nothing else in the next few minutes, I want to clarify and emphasize certain points about this Gulf Coast claims facility. First, by agreement between the administration and BP, this is an entirely independent facility. It is not beholden to the administration. It is not beholden to BP. By agreement, they decided, let's establish and fund a truly credible, independent facility that will process eligible claims and pay them promptly. Second, understand, please, that I am not the administrator of the $20 billion escrow fund. I am the administrator of the Gulf Coast Claims Facility, which will draw on part of that $20 billion fund. That $20 billion fund may also be used for government claims against BP, for cleanup costs brought by states, local governments, federal government. Those costs come out of the $20 billion escrow, but it's not part of my obligation or mandate. So please make the distinction between my responsibility in processing private claims of all types arising out of that $20 billion and other claims that might be brought by government against BP, part of that $20 billion, that are not on my watch. This is a purely private facility. It is not a facility of the federal government or a sub-facility of an agency. It is a private compact creating this independent facility which I will design and administer. Next, in addition to the $20 billion, the administration and BP agreed to set aside $100 million for so-called moratorium claims involving laid-off rig workers who may be out of work because of the imposed moratorium on other drilling in the Gulf. That $100 million is not part of the $20 billion. It is an addition. Whether or not I will administer that $100 million moratorium fund is up to the administration and BP. I don't think that's been finally resolved yet. It may be that the $100 million moratorium limited to moratorium rig worker claims. Moratorium rig worker claims, not small business moratorium claims. Wage loss. Whether that fund will be a separate segregated account in the facility or whether it will be parked and administered somewhere else, it remains to be seen. Whether those rig workers subject to the moratorium will file claims with me or file claims with some other administrator implementing the $100 million distribution, it remains to be seen. That is not on my watch. It has to be resolved between the administration and particularly BP. And I think BP is going to have to decide in the next few days whether that $100 million should be part of the facility, separate from the $20 billion, but administered by me, or whether it should be administered by somebody else. So I want to make that clear because there's been some confusion generated by some of my earlier comments and others because I'm trying to figure out myself exactly how that $100 million for moratorium workers will be designed and administered. Next, I welcome and urge all eligible claimants to file a claim with this facility that has been established under my direction. I want to emphasize that those claimants include, as the chairwoman and Congressman Graves pointed out, not just individuals, small businesses, large businesses, anybody, any private individual or company who feels that they have a valid claim to draw out of this facility should file a claim. There is no obligation to filing a claim with this facility. You do not give up any rights. You do not have to make any decisions at this time. You are seeking emergency financial assistance, which this facility is recognizing. And only later, if you decide to remain in the facility and seek a lump sum settlement down the road, would you then have to decide whether to surrender your rights to sue in return for a lump sum payment. But that's down the road. Right now, if you file a claim, we will give you a number, we will process your emergency application, and if you are eligible, we will pay you promptly.